Now let's discuss a client-server network program where server waits for the client to connect, and when basically client writes something to the port, and client listens that, a server listens that, okay, and actually prints that. So this is the server socket. We have server socket. Of course, I am to the null because I'm putting up here in the try this thing. So then that means this will be only available in this block. So if I do it in a outside here, when I need this server socket, then it will not be available. So that's why I keep my server socket on the top. And in a try, I am trying to create a server socket with this port, any random port. You can put up any random port because we know 20+16 we are allowed. And first 1024 is for the specialized purposes, and these guys are, you can use any port, whatever you like. Now if for example I couldn't create a socket, there could be some IO exception, okay. Maybe the port is not available or something is happening bad, so can't listen on 209. I gotta exit, okay. And then I say system output alert listening for connection. If connection occurs, okay, if firstly 2009 has no problem, so connection is not gonna occur, then we're gonna listen. We're gonna listen to the to that connection, okay. So how we listen to that connection is because we have a pipe. Say for on this highlighted stuff is, say for example, a pipe, and on this side is a client, on this side is a server. So a server has a socket on this side and a client has a socket on this side, and this is a stream, okay. And we know Java uses the IO streams basically to listen to the sockets. So I need to create a firstly here the client socket. That's a socket type. So simply you can say socket to that. It's client socket. I put the null, and what I'm gonna do is here I'm gonna accept the sc.accept. So I say client socket is the sc.accept. So if socket you have created the socket on this line on this, and if client connects to that port 2009, if that belongs to the client port, okay, client actually connects to that port, then that socket will be copied into the CS, because server accepts that socket. So whatever it accepts, that goes into the CS, okay. Now CS is actually handled to the client socket. That's why I started CS. Now this may have some IO exception, maybe stream problem or something. So I'm gonna say accept failed. What happens is just, I'm gonna say accept failed, okay, and exit once. So what I'm saying is I'm gonna say server socket, and I open up the socket with the particular port. The server socket, it listens to this port basically, okay. And if it doesn't happen, then I may say IO exception. Then I say, yeah, if this happens, I say listening for the connection. Then I say socket CS equals to null, okay. And that is my client socket, and I say what the client socket is, what server accepts. If it doesn't accept, so I accept fail. If it does happen, so I say connection is successful, okay. So that means connection is successful. And this is auto println listening for input. Now you are listening for the input, okay. Then you got few print writer and buffer reader. Print writer for output, okay. So you wanna write something. So we have print writer. It's a new print writer, and what I do is cs dot get output stream, okay. So you want to write to the output stream using the client socket. And buffer reader input equals new buffer reader. Buffer reader always work with the input stream, so new input stream, but it's not a system.in this time. It is the CS again client socket dot get input stream. So you are reading and writing from the client socket's input and output stream basically, okay. Then you got a string str. Then you actually read. Str is going to put a read line. You are reading a line from the from input. So input is the buffer reader, is the input stream reader is with the client socket. So you are reading from the client basically, and unless it's not equal to null, you put up into the string str, and just and this is server is str. So you you put up on the console that I have read that string. Okay, so it's only possible when the client stuffs some line onto the stream, and that's available there, and this operator basically reads that. Okay, it takes the input from the input stream, and input stream itself takes from the client socket. Client socket is the same, which is accepted here. Okay, while str is going to be a read line. So if there is a line to read, okay, until then this will stay in a loop. Server plus str, it will say server and str. Now this also writes to the server, output.println str, so it writes also back the str. So that means whatever it gets back to str. Okay, so if I say here str plus encode. Okay, now we say if input not equals by, then I'm going to break out of this while loop. Okay, this is one thing. If I give it a go, it will start the server socket like here. It's listening for the connection, so it is stuck here listening for the connection. So it's here listening for connection. So there's no problem with the port, there's no connection, but there is no such client socket, so nothing is to accept here, so it's only stuck here, right? So because there's nothing to accept, so we have to run a client code. So what is the client code doing? This is the client, this is my client code. So we got a socket simply, that's no. So then I got a print writer and bufferator, again the same guys, print writer and bufferator. So I try up, so I say new socket, then I get the loop back address. That's the local host, what do you say, because I'm having a client on the same machine. After which machine you are having, I need to give the IP address to that, and also the port. So I'm saying same port, so I'm putting the client socket here with the same IP address and same port, okay, which my server is listening to. So output is called new print writer, cs.getOutput stream. Maybe I've put out the output inputs, so then I have the client side get output stream, and here the cs.getInput stream from operator, and I put up the output inputs here. Then I catch unknown host exception E, because maybe the host is not there, and maybe there is some IO exception with a couple of exceptions here. Now I also created buffer reader std_in, which will read from the input stream, but this time the system.in, so it read from the keyboard. So they're going to string, I will read a line from this keyboard basically. While it's not equal to null, I'm going to output.println. Now I write that using the output, because output is my print writer. The print writer writes to the socket, and socket writes to the port. Okay, print writer writes to the stream, the stream writes to the port. Okay, do you understand? So I say output here, output of println, and what else? This line, and system out println client. I'm saying here client plus input of read line, and this is system.out.println client. Here it we also maybe we also get from the socket, from the input. Input is my buffer reader. We read from the back what is there, and we read the line. We print the line. We also read from the socket. The socket is a two-way stuff going on. I'll just run the client code and just see the server code also running. Server is waiting for our Windows. So I need for this, what I need is we need two eclipses running. So this eclipse is already running. I need maybe new eclipse. I will go here and I run up my eclipse. Okay, but it needs different workspace. So I say I have already choose the new space the Java API, say okay. I don't want this to be the default, say okay. Then we need to import the project into this Eclipse. Okay, this is my other Eclipse. Let me keep it on this side. Okay, this is more. I broke this side and we put this guy on this side. Okay, server. So this is my server, and this is my what is this? This is my server. This is my client. Now I need to first go to the server. Server is cannot listen on 209. There is some problem with this thing. Let me see. Just stop it. Give it a go again. Cannot listen. There's some problem. Let me change the. I just changed the port, you know, to 3009 and here 309. Also maybe 209 is occupied, something like that. So listening for connection. So server is saying this for connection. Now let me run a client. So when you run a client, okay. Now when we run a client, basically it's connection successful, showing on this side. What is the console of this guy? Let me show the console view. Show view. Our console. This is the console. Okay. And connection successful because this guy has successfully connected to this and not listening for input. Now you have to write something here. So for example, Janab and say error. So when the error is hit, so at that moment it's telling me server is Janab. And if you see, the server basically replied back with the Junaid that echoed, is it? So it's gone here. So Junaid echoed, and I say the next is, for example, Juni. I say error, and server says server it is reached here, the server Juni, and it echoed back. It echoed back as Juni echoed. Does it make sense? So this is how client and server architecture, and we just successfully made a socket program where client sends something and server replies back with an echo of that string. So we can also do two-way connections, okay, that will be later on, but right now let's go for the recapitulation. What we did, we said we had a server and with a server socket that's going to be null. Then I say I bound my server socket with some port, so that is some random port, and then some exceptions, and say can't listen to the port, and then I'm saying listening. So if this happens, I'll say listening, and then I will say socket cs is equal to null. I'm saying the client socket, I just create a client socket so that whatever the server accepts, that goes in the cs. If that happens, I say there must be accept failed, and if it happens as a connection successful, then we are waiting for the listening for input. So we have to listen for the input. So that is done with print writer and buffer reader. Okay, that both will print with cs.get stream, and buffer reader will firstly with the input stream and reader, and then with the cs.get input stream. Now let's string, and we read from the input. That's we're going to read from the socket basically, and put a read line that will put on the string. While it's not equal to null, okay, it will just print server and the string, and it echoes back because it writes back to the pipe, okay, back to the socket, and whatever you have client has sent, that is here, it adds up its echoed, say echoed by server, I would say, and if not equals by, then you're going to break out of it. Okay. Okay. Let's do it go again. I am saying contrast on port 209. 309. Why is so? I'm saying that. Okay, I will just need to start this. Stop it. Okay. Now here we go. This is listening for connection. This guy is listening. This guy is listening for connection. Okay. clear the console of this because I'm not running it. Now give it a call to client. Now connection successful, listening for input. I'm saying, hey, I am Junaid. So server is saying I'm Junaid because it's coming up here, and it's echoing back. So it's talking it back to the client, and I'm Junaid equal to the server. So that's here, right? Now I say Ginny, it gets echoed back. Ginny equal to the server, right?